Can you guys see me and hear me? I can't tell. Hello. You guys all, who do you guys got for tonight's game? Jets or the 49ers? Christian McCaffrey's out? Oh, man. Is it because of his calf? I didn't know that. Well, now if the Jets win, they'll all say it's because of Christian McCaffrey's out. Or if Brock Purdy doesn't play good, they'll say it's all because of Christian McCaffrey. What's going on? How you doing, Isaiah? Was he questionable or probable going into the game? What was the injury status? I didn't even know. I assumed he was playing, but that's interesting. I wonder if they knew that going into this week, honestly. If Shanahan was already kind of, preparing for this, or if this caught them off guard. Because they're down Pearsall, Christian McCaffrey, 24-16, San Francisco. Interesting. You think the Jets are only going to put up 16 points? Okay. I don't know what you're talking about in terms of destroying Lamar Jackson, but protecting Joe Burrow. Last time Rodgers played was 600 and some days. Last time he played a full game was with the Packers in 22. No, I did not see any of that. Yeah, man, I'm actually a billionaire. It's pretty crazy. I'm very lucky that I am, own an oil conglomerate. It's pretty cool. Life is pretty cool for me. I live that private jet life. Yeah, it was a rough start for a lot of quarterbacks. It was an interesting week one, honestly. I think ever since the preseason has been so de emphasized and practices are also just gotten lighter over the years, I think, I think we're just seeing teams get off to slower starts. And Joe Burrow always gets off to a slow start. Like every single year. Yeah, I don't think really like any conclusions can be made until the first like 4 or 5 weeks about a team because you just don't know and you don't even know who each team is. So even if one team wins big or doesn't win, you just don't really know what quarterback um like who their opponent is. If it was even a good win, tough loss, what quarterback played the best? I would say C.J. Stroud or Josh Allen. I think probably Josh Allen, honestly. Yeah, well then they got a new coordinator. I think that helped the Bills for sure. I don't have anything against Baker whatsoever. Oh, I see who you are now. I knew it was you. The name is different, but I sensed it. I sensed it. My instincts were right. Zaniacs. Is that how you say it? Ooh, so you're an old school Bills fan. So you've been around. You've been around for a lot of the pain. Stafford really played great as well, for sure. And listen, if the Ravens end up continuing, if the Ravens end up having like a top defense, and you could make the argument Mahomes potentially, but I think what was asked of Josh Allen, he just consistently puts that team on his back. I mean, you see his like hurdle for the touchdown. I mean, it's just crazy what they ask him to do game after game after game. Baker definitely played really well, without a doubt. But again, you got to look at the opponent who he played against. That's wild. See, OJ is not a football player to me. He's a guy who was in some movies and, did some bad stuff. You've been around when he was an actual football player for you. I'm going to be doing another Baker Mayfield video, by the way, through First Things First. I'm going to try to be very clear with my feelings about Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. Apparently, people didn't like my last video, even though I thought that I was very positive about the Bucks, and all I did was say was we just have to understand who the Commanders are. People don't like to hear those types of things, especially Baker Mayfield fans. It's a t-shirt, Baker Mayfield t-shirt. I am not spending the money. You know what? If I had 1 million subscribers and Lucas Oil Stadium was named after me, then yeah, you know what? I'd buy that Baker Mayfield jersey. I got my first real hit with like very intense extreme fans. Surprisingly, it was Baker Mayfield fans and Bucks fans at the same time, and Jacksonville and Miami Dolphin fans. They were the first fan bases to come at me when I first started this channel. I mean, I don't even know what I said, and they were just so mad and so intense. And then I said, "Oh, I think the Lions are gonna beat the Bucks," and oh my god, that's a deal. That's gonna be a good game. The Lions game, that's gonna be that has potential to be like. I'm curious, is that home or away? Did the Lions play at home? Who wanted Josh Rosen? Yeah, I made a video about that. I think I made 2 videos about that. Well, one video posted today, and the other video is going to post tomorrow. I think Bo Nix showed me a good amount that made me feel comfortable. But yeah, everyone's forgetting that all these guys are rookies, and that even seasoned veterans struggle week 1 often. Look at Joe Burrow. That's what I thought. Because I remember it was like, what, like the first 14 games or 12 out of 13 games are in a dome. So since that's going to be a rematch from the playoffs, obviously it's going to be extra intense, but that has some route potential. I think that game has the potential for us to really see who the Bucks are, because I think the Lions are that good. The problem is it's still week 2, so it's still, you know, a little hard, and there is that like rematch, like extra heightened game, so that's gonna the Buccaneers will probably play even better. They'll probably play like a notch above their own limits, but I think like that has potential. That's why I think it's a good frame of reference to see them play the Lions and then play the Eagles. I feel like you'll get like a pretty decently balanced look as to who they are. Because what if they get beat by 14 points against the Lions and it was clear that they were just never in that game? It's like kind of confirms what I was saying about the Commanders game. So Kirk Cousins had some bad moments, but he also had some really good moments as well. And then things kind of just unraveled. But remember also, the Steelers also like always have a good defense as well. So that's also a tough first week 1 game. And they had him as like a sitting duck. just in shotgun like all day. And that's not what he does. I don't know if Burrow is done. You're basing that off of one game, or do you think it's because you think he's injured, like Wilds was saying? So it's tough. On one side, like I would think that about Bryce, but then Dan Orlovsky talked about that he was like, I'm not expecting anything from Bryce Young this season. So sometimes it's hard when you hear opinions like that because I can't tell if they're just trying to be like extra nice to some of these younger guys or if it's just what they truly believe. Will Levis, I mean, I don't know, man. I think those types of quarterbacks, like a Bryce Young, like a Will Levis, I think the only way they're even remotely successful, and this is just not going to happen, is if they have a top elite head coach, offensive head coach for that matter, right? They could stay in the NFL and be decent, be somewhat capable, but they literally need Andy Reid as their head coach. Sean McVay, Shanahan. I think the lowest level coach that they could have, where they could still have some, decent production, would probably be like a Stefanski or maybe like a Zach Taylor. I know. I did it. I forgot to tell everybody though that I was doing it because I wasn't sure. I didn't know. Listen, I gotta admit to you guys, I'll be real honest. These last couple of days, the last like 24 hours, was crazy. I've watched so much football. I was watching like 4 games at once, watching the highlights, watching the extended highlights, watching the replays on NFL Plus or Premium, whatever it's called. Taking notes. I got notes everywhere. I got papers everywhere of all my notes. It was like it was just crazy. It was intense. And then I quickly wanted to record all this stuff on Monday, trying to get all that in, trying to find clips to work off of. There's still so many teams that I wanted to talk about that I couldn't, that like all the main shows were skipping over. I wanted to talk about the Colts, wanted to talk about the Vikings, wanted to talk about, heck, people weren't even really talking about the Texans. How does Purdy perform without CMC? I think it's going to be tough because I think the Jets are going to have a legit defense. Like, I think this is going to be interesting because if Purdy doesn't ball out or have anything less than great, it's going to be this whole thing. And I don't think it's going to be fully fair because we've seen plenty of quarterbacks struggle. Well, so you know what's funny? You bring up the Cowboys. I understand that the Cowboys are the most popular team, but I went and watched NFL Live. And I watched a 2 hour broadcast. And on like literally like 4 different segments, they talked about the Browns versus Cowboys. And it's just like they didn't talk about the Colts. They didn't talk about the Eagles. They didn't talk about the Vikings. And it was like you had a 2 hour show. Why did you address the Cowboys on like 4 different segments? Mixon was another. Remember, didn't Nick Ray also say that Mixon wasn't going to be a good running back for the Texans? I thought Deshaun Watson had it, and I think it was Travis who said, "No way. It's been too long. He's been out of the game for too long at this point." And that definitely seems to be more accurate. Um, what did he say about Caleb in terms of like what did he say today? So he had the craziest take today, and I will stand by this. He was trying to make the claim. He definitely admitted that Caleb played bad, but he was like, "Oh, the Bears defense looks to be amazing." And it was like they played the Titans with Will Levis. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah, I don't watch because what is that with Joy Taylor? Um why can't I think of anyone's name right now? Paul Pierce and oh my god, the other main guy. The actual football player. I can't think of his name. Keyshawn. Mayfield, Carr, and Allen were the only QBs to play really well. The rest were pretty much average to bad. Um Again, it's interesting though. Like Carr played the Panthers. Mayfield played um the Commanders. The two worst teams last year. So it's just gonna be interesting. I thought they were for speak. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought that's what it was. And Joy Taylor's like hosting. Caleb definitely played worse than Bo. For sure. And Bo was in a tougher situation. He had a worse team on the road against Seattle. And on the road in Seattle, I definitely de-emphasize preseason. Yeah, I saw the clip of Dak Prescott. I was going to make a video about it, but I didn't get a chance. I still think I might do it and post it like maybe tomorrow or in a couple days. Where Dak has a soundbite where he's like, "Yeah, man, it was my job to raise, to essentially get the most amount of money for everyone else." And it's just like, he goes, "That's my responsibility." And now everyone in the locker room is asking me, for like their wrist sizes and stuff. And it's like, Dak, that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to help them measure their ring finger size to get a Super Bowl ring. That is your responsibility, not to the other younger quarterbacks. Like, what are you talking about? Yes, he said that, and it drives me nuts. I think Dak says everything right except that. I've always said that Dak is great in front of the mic, but when he said that, I'm just like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's my responsibility to do that. I'm next man up. And it's like, okay. Your responsibility is to win a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. And he goes, and everyone's asking me, why did I make so much money? And he's like, because I'm a quarterback. That's why. It was a weird interview that he did, like a, press conference soundbite. I was like, what is this? Oh, man. See, I'm excited for some of those games, Panthers versus the Giants, because then I could probably skip that game. There was like no skippable games week one. There was like no game that I was like, I don't really need. I can just watch like the 5-minute highlight reel. I'm not going to be talking about the Panthers, Giants, or whatever. But like every game was like pretty box office. I was overwhelmed on Sunday, I'll be honest, because I was just like, there's so many games that I want to watch. But I like NFL Premium or Plus, whatever it is. When you go on the app or on the website, what's cool is it blocks out all the scores, which I like. Yeah. Listen, I mean, like we said, the Cowboys, it makes sense that the Cowboys did it. It's just, I just think the Cowboys are just going to be the exact same team that they always are. And that's what I made my video about saying. Like, they're just going to be the exact team that they always are. They're going to beat up on teams that aren't that good. They'll probably play the Eagles competitively. They're going to feast on the Giants. The Commanders are a question mark, but if they continue to play as they did in week one, maybe also get feasted on. And then they're going to lose to teams like the Lions, the 49ers, the Eagles. It'll be a coin flip. It all depends. Yeah, you know what? I should go live on that other channel. I do know this one guy that I saw. He does that. He just like watches the games, but you can't see it. It's just like the scoreboard or whatever, and then he just like talks about it. He's like Irish or something. He's like, Caitlin Clark, she's doing really good. Oh, Caitlin, she hit the 3, and like people love it, and I'm just like, what? What is this right now? Shell Swoops says bad things about Caitlin Clark. I don't understand why they all don't like Caitlin. She's so good. Like, all right, no judgments. Everybody, and they all enjoy it. But yeah, you just gave me a good idea. I'll do that one of these days. Is that what it's called? Dual watching? You watch someone else watch the game? Because you can't live stream the games. Yeah, I forget his name, honestly. He's got a great following, but he said that he only built his following based off of Caitlin Clark. That channel right now is definitely WNBA focused. Caitlin Clark. Because that's like the only interesting WNBA story, honestly. It's like the only thing worth talking about. That's why she's so popular. But once the NBA starts, then I can start addressing like NBA stuff. I just don't know how I'm gonna be able to like just do everything. It's so much. And then what about Micah? Micah's got to get paid too. Who's Mitch Milani? Should I write his name down for inspiration to see what he does? It's always good to see what other people do. That's how you learn. You know what? We might be talking about the same guy. Is he Irish? Would you guys like that, though? No, okay, so it's a different guy then. This guy's definitely, like, Irish. Would you guys like that? If I was watching a football game and we just had the scoreboard up and I was like, oh, that was a crazy catch. Man, Purdy threw a a dime. Like, is that a thing? Travis O'Shea, I got a question for you. I'll try it one day. I'm not gonna try it today because I don't have access to the game right now. I gotta figure out a better way to do it in the future because I don't have a TV in this room and I would stream it on my computer, but I can't. My computer would explode. I'd have to use my other computer, and that's just a Chromebook. Yeah, and I use my phone as my webcam, actually. I said in my last stream, I'm thinking about maybe getting a TV that I can put right there, but I don't know. I don't know how necessary it is. I need to buy a computer. Although when I finally just, buy a computer, buy a MacBook, the computer should be able to handle streaming and going live. But I was going to ask you, what did you think about the Baker Mayfield and the Commanders game? Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. That makes sense. When you watch teams or games you don't care about. Sometimes those are the best games to watch, or some of the best games to watch. But that's the problem right now with all the content that I'm creating, because I kind of care about every game now. And the problem is I feel so much more pressure if I voice an opinion. Like, I think the Rams are actually going to be pretty good this year. Even something as little as that. Well, now it's like I need the Rams to win. When before it was like, yeah, if they win, they win. If they lose, whatever. But even just like a small little statement like, oh, yeah, I think the Rams, like the Commanders, perfect example. I said, I think the Commanders, could have some momentum this season. And it was like they lost this first game. And it was like, no, I can't believe the Commanders lost. And it's like, well, I don't think I've ever cared whether or not the Commanders won or lose. What's his face thinks it's actually going to be the Saints. John Middlecoff? Is that how you say his last name? Middlecoff? What was the biggest surprise for all of you guys this season so far? You know what? I really can't wait for the Bucks to play the Lions. I'm really excited for that. That's probably going to be my most exciting game that I'm going to have. I don't know, honestly, in terms of pressing the panic button on what's it called? On rookie QBs. I don't have a strong opinion because I know people develop at all different um at all different rates. So it's just I think it's very hard from an outside perspective to know. Because there's some maybe young quarterbacks who are doing so well in practice, and then there's just things that kind of go wrong during the game, and so they just need to be able to figure that out. Sometimes a player just doesn't get it right in practice or the game, and that was the thing about Trey Lance. Trey Lance wasn't getting it right even in practice, and so that's when you know, okay, he's not getting it right in practice and the game. That's a problem. Someone like a Caleb reportedly was awesome in practice. So it's just one of those things that you kind of have to like feel out. Yeah, but this doesn't count as his rookie year though. Did you say go live? I don't think John has Saints at 2. He said I listened to I listened to him and Colin last night, and I'm almost positive he said he says I have the Saints winning the division. What's your opinion on the Packers now with Jordan Love out? Yeah, that's devastating to the Packers. Absolutely devastating to the Packers. There's no denying that. And I was super high on the Packers. I think the games. I think the Eagles. Oh, do that live. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll see if that's possible. Um. Yeah. Well, now you're making me question it. It was on his podcast. It was on Colin's podcast. Last night when he went through. I think he went through like 5 games. And I'm almost positive he said the Saints. I got the Saints winning that division. But I don't know. I was listening to it at 1.75 speed. Because that's what I was saying. I was just trying to like get a feel for what Colin and John was saying. Getting like a baseline of what some of their opinions was. I know. That's such a gut wrencher for Jordan Love. And especially in the final 6 seconds of the game. But then fans are crazy. I saw they were saying people were trying to say that it was Carter who was it was a dirty play, and then they were blaming the turf, and it had nothing to do with either. It was just unfortunate. I am live now. Yeah, I don't know. So it's a sprain, and a sprain is a tear. I don't know if a lot of people don't realize that. It's just a smaller tear. I like when I may injure my knee many times, but I sprained my MCL, ACL, and tore my meniscus, and you can feel it. Like it's hurt. It's a thing. It's not just like, oh, you just have some pain. Like you are legitimately compromised. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to get treatment to it. The benefit of it being sprained is that he should have full range of motion, which then really can kind of help with some recovery. And when he does play, there really shouldn't be like much of a limiting factor. But you just never know, honestly. Yeah, and I saw. Did you write that in the comment section by any chance? Not on my channel, on his channel, because I literally saw someone write that, like pretty much that exact same thing. Like, what? You talked all about how amazing the Rams are, no mention of Detroit. Yeah, it wasn't dirty. I really don't think so. Oh, did he pass? Yeah, I'm experimenting with the lives. See see what they're like. Um well, he loves Matthew Stafford, and rightfully so. I mean, I think Matthew Stafford does not get the recognition that he deserves. And even McVay is no longer like seen as like, I mean, obviously people know that he's a great coach, but he's no longer like, his stock was mega high a few years ago, especially when they won the Super Bowl, right? Amazon wanted to pay him like $200 million or whatever it was. Like his stock was at an all-time high. Now it feels like it's kind of like come down a little bit. But also Puka Nakua, is he out for any measurable time? You don't like Colin? What's wrong with, I love Colin. What's wrong with Colin? Oh, is he? I wonder how. What is Puka's actual injury? Do you know? I was so high on the Packers, and they can still do damage, especially if the Bears, struggle. I could actually now. A lot of people were saying this before, and I could actually see this. I could see the Bears only winning like 5, 6 games now. I don't think they will, but I can see it. Puka Nakua is out until October 20th. Oh man, that's definitely a loss for the Rams. Well, I think John was a scout. Or wait, John M. Oh yeah. Miracle. Wasn't he a scout? I believe. Um, what was I about to say? Saquon looked amazing. I agree with that. I think it was hard to also get a feel for Saquon because of that field was so slippery. But I think like obviously he fell. He was the first. I think he was like the first player to slip. So I think even that was kind of difficult to get a good feel for him. Yeah, they definitely held their own, which does make you then question. I don't want to say question the lines, but it was just like with that decimated of an O line, you would expect the lines to feast even more, and they didn't necessarily, which is interesting. But I think that also says a lot about McVay and Stafford being able to hold that together with bubblegum and scotch tape. Yeah, it's bummed that Christian McCaffrey's not playing. Injuries are the worst, man. It's why that's like the with football, it's injuries and bad calls just make you want to just be like, I don't want to watch sports anymore. It's like when you have like a big player get injured, like a Jordan Love, you're just like, why even bother? Like think about it. For months, you're getting so excited. The moment the Packers season ended last season, you're all excited about the Packers or the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers, and then boom, just like that, you're like, all right, season's over. It's just you're just done now. And I'm not saying it's over for the Packers, but I'm just saying it's just like it's just so deflating. Or like your team does everything right, and then there's like a terrible call and you're just like, why? And I don't like to blame the refs for why teams win or lose, but just sometimes it just feels like you're just like, why? Yeah, but the Eagles also threw well as well. But you can make the argument that almost all the teams didn't capitalize enough. The Packers didn't capitalize on the Eagles' mistakes. The Eagles didn't capitalize on the Packers' mistakes. They had some dropped interception that would have been a pick six. The Ravens didn't capitalize. The Chiefs didn't capitalize. But that's why I think all in all, that was one of those more coin flip games where the Eagles definitely could have lost and the Packers could have won. But in no way was that game about the Packers losing than the Eagles winning. Yeah, but it was the Eagles defense that held them. I hope not. Does anyone have the game on right now? Because that's when I'm gonna sign off. Is it what time is official kickoff? Okay, so in like 10 minutes. It's gonna be sun. It's still gonna be daylight over there, right? Because the game's on at 5:20 out there. Because it's in the Bay Area. That's gonna be weird, right? So I think it's still gonna be like daylight out. What number am I at right now? I honestly don't even know. Oh, man. So yeah, well, so for the yeah, I don't know what time the sun goes down these days. So I guess there will be a couple hours of daylight. Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I think judging the defense at all for the Lions is a tough sell considering how injured the Lions were, how injured the Rams were. Losing the offensive line, losing Puka Nacua. They better excel in that situation. I think the Steelers' defense has been consistently good under Mike Tomlin. So it could be a combination, but if the Steelers didn't consistently have a really good defense, then I would say maybe we could lean on it being more Kirk Cousins. But I mean, listen, Kirk Cousins didn't look great by no means, but I think it's par for the course. All right, we'll see ya. Enjoy the pizza. Enjoy the pizza and the game. I think the Steelers look like they're going to be the same team as they were for years as well. They're going to have a good defense and not a good offense with random moments where someone like Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, for that matter, does a really nice play and they're like, yeah, look how nice this throw was. And it's going to give everyone the illusion like, yeah, if they can just keep doing that, they're going to win. So I also have to be consistent. I'm super high on Sam. I wrote like all my notes, and I was high on Sam before. I said that they were going to beat the Giants, but they did face the Giants, who are a terrible team. So who do the Minnesota Vikings play next? Do you know? Oh, do they really? Their second game is against the 49ers? I don't think so. Well, it's going to be interesting if Christian McCaffrey plays. I'm curious to see what happens with McCaffrey. I wonder. I mean, listen, I have no idea how bad his injury is, but if like the 49ers win against the Jets, I could see him potentially again, depending on his injury, like take another week off. But if they lose, I could see him trying, making sure that he definitely plays the following week. I'm excited for this game either way. Honestly, I'm excited for this game outside of Christian McCaffrey. This is what a lot of people have been waiting to see Brock Purdy do. And if Brock Purdy wins and plays really well under these circumstances, they won't be able to use that against him. But even if he doesn't play well, I still think this is a tough situation. I think they should struggle against the Jets defense. Although, what's his face? Did he play? Did he sign yet? And is he going to play or no? Is he sitting out? I haven't seen any follow up on that. Hassan Reddick. It's definitely going to hurt them. You can't just the kickoff is actually now they're officially starting the kickoff. That's interesting. If they'll give if the Browns decide to just have a sell off sale. All right. Well, in like 2 minutes, I'll log off so I can watch the game. I'm excited. I'm since yesterday was like so crazy with all the games. I'm excited for these standalone games. And it's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. That'll be a loss. I can't believe they haven't been able to figure that out, which is interesting to me. I'm not sure how to read into that. Who's receiving the ball, by the way, since it's kickoff? The Jets? Did the kickoff already happen? Did like they officially are they like on the 30? Okay. I'm going to go log off so I can watch this game now. Now, see, no spoilers. No spoilers. Okay. I will see you guys all tomorrow. I'll be making videos tomorrow, so. Enjoy the game. Have fun. Good luck. I believe in you all. See ya.